Welcome to the GFY Podcast, a podcast by healthcare professionals providing insight on how to navigate your health so that you can go fix yourself. The GFY Podcast is hosted by Mike Bruno, a chiropractor and athletic trainer, and me, Michael Stanton, an athletic trainer and certified strength and conditioning specialist. Although we are healthcare providers, we are not your healthcare provider. We will discuss general health interventions in this podcast, but you should not take that as health advice that works in every situation. Before doing anything on your own or making any lifestyle changes, please consult with your own physician. This podcast and views from this podcast are separate from our full-time jobs and our own opinions. If you're enjoying the GFY podcast, please leave us a review on your listening platform and or subscribe to our podcast at YouTube. Link to our show can be found in the show notes on any platform that you are listening to. Today, sorry, that was a
I like that call to action add-on. Good.
Oh yeah. I'm getting a little bit better. Getting a little bit better.
Every day a little bit better.
Yep, exactly. Today we're talking lazy.
I love it. I always used to get yelled at for being lazy as a kid, and now it's the goal.
Yeah.
But not in the way that you would think. You know what I mean?
We're not talking lazy. We're talking be smart. Be smart with your time and your effort.
More so efficiency.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Because a lot of people do a lot of crap that doesn't really move the needle. So we're here to fix that today.
Yep. So I know in our last episode we kind of talked about goal setting. We talked about minimum effective dosing and how can we make a workout or a plan or anything so that it is as efficient as possible. So I don't know if you want to talk about maybe how you would handle, someone with general low back pain first. And then, I can kind of talk about, hey, or even you can, what would you do in a situation? It's like, hey, I just want to get in shape.
Okay. I think the best place to start is to start with pain, and then we'll go into performance, because that's usually the bridge that we take.
Yeah.
So for someone that comes in with pain to see me, usually they've tried, I'll call it the regular stuff: stretch, ice, Advil, massage, chiropractic adjustments, basic exercises, right? And the whole shtick is that stuff doesn't work for a couple different reasons. One of the main ones being it's usually targeted on the wrong spot. So in this back pain example, all of that stuff was directed at the back, when what we actually find through our assessment process is that back pain most often is caused by something else. So we'll use the hips as an example. So if you're unaware, you could be doing 5, 10, 15, 100 back exercises and still have back pain because the problem isn't there. But if you have a handful of the smart and most efficient exercises for your hips, that could clear up 90% of your symptoms, 100% of your symptoms in days, weeks. It's astounding the light bulb moment that clients have when that really clicks, is they're like, how did working on my hips affect my back? And sometimes it's confusing at first, but once you experience it, then that clicks, where it's oh, this does make sense.
I kind of want to go back on that real quick too, because it's how you can get really efficient with exercises, or with kind of what you end up planning for someone, is just through a very thorough evaluation. So maybe initially it's oh man, I just went through an hour evaluation with this guy. I just had to talk to him for 30 plus minutes. And that's kind of where you end up being able to really go, okay, these are your actual true issues. These are the things that we can focus on first.
Yeah. So to use an analogy, the first phase is setting the foundation of a home. The second phase is building the house itself, the wood framing and everything, and all the big stuff. And then the third phase is that performance phase. That's where all the fun stuff comes in. And that's the decorating and the fine tuning, right? So for us, we have to set the foundation. And something that I say all the time is simple, effective, and enjoyable. So if you're in pain, we find positions and things that you can do that are pain-free, that are going to close the gap on the deficits that you have. So as an example, running with the same thing, low back pain is commonly tied to a lack of internal rotation in your hip. So all of our exercises need to be focused on getting back that internal rotation of your hip, but in a way that is pain-free. So you're not creating this like interference is what I call it. And when you do that, like it's not rocket science. Like you just have to know what problem you're solving. So very simply laying on a foam roller in the right way, doing some breathing in certain positions, having just like laying in a position and squeezing one muscle. Like it's very, very basic for a reason, because we want to make it so simple you can't forget it, and like impossible to screw up when you go to do it at home, because people a lot of the times are fearful of, hey, like I can do it with you, but like when I have to go do it on my own, like I'm nervous I'm gonna mess it up or do it wrong. So that's the reason why we do it that way. Because if you make it too complicated, it's going to be, it could be frustrating or confusing, and we don't want that. So if you're gonna, why spend $100 on a pencil when you can buy it for $1?
Yeah.
So we don't want to be just like, if I gave you 100 things to do, you would just be like, that's YouTube, people. That's what I hear all the time with people who like are obsessed with like Dr. Google. They'll like go chat GPT, like, how do I fix my back pain? And it's like, it's confusing because they don't, like, the internet does not have the details of your specific case. So you're just going based on blind recommendations and mass opinion. And that, you can get lucky, but that's usually a recipe for frustration.
How many exercises are you typically prescribing someone, like, let's say when they first start to 6 weeks in to 12 weeks in?
Good question. So let's say we establish that a plan of care is going to take 15 weeks.
Got
it. Right. The first 5 weeks are going to be that get out of pain phase, where we're meeting once a week. We're going over the manual stuff, and then we're giving you exercises. We're recording those exercises with instructions and sending you home with those. So one or two things. So I want you to be so focused on I call it the big rock. So what is the smallest thing that we can do to give us the biggest result, right? So there's a ton of stuff that we can do on day one, but I know you have golfed, right? For anyone listening with golf, right? There's a million things you can think about in a swing, but the more things you try to think about at the same time is like guaranteed disaster. So it's just higher.
It's like a hierarchy, like, right? You're creating a hierarchy of,
we have
this
to
is what we're going to go first.
Stuff step by step. You can't, like, you're in an instruction manual. It's page 1, it's page 2, it's page 3. You don't go read page 1 and then all of a sudden go to the finished product.
That's how your IKEA furniture ends up screwed up.
Yeah, exactly. That's how you end up building it backwards. But so like in that case, and this is honestly something that clients ask me a lot, so I'm glad we're talking about it here, is every time we meet, so like week after week, there's always going to be some form of progression to the exercises, which means we're going to constantly be filling this toolbox with things that you can always refer back to. So if you think about having a toolbox, right, you might use a hammer more often than you use I don't even know what's that wrench called?
Socket wrench.
Yeah, a socket wrench. Shows how much I use that, right?
Yeah, I was going to throw basin wrench out there. You really want to know what
I don't know
is.
What that one
is.
But like, you have tools to always reference back to if you need them, So every time someone comes in, we're making a progression based on the results of the previous week. So last week's stuff isn't now like wrong or useless, but now the priority shifts to the stuff from this week. So you're still doing one or two things at all times, right? It's never going to just like build up to where it's like, I feel like I have to do 100 things every day to get out of back pain. No, right? We just have to continuously build systematically and in the right order. Sequencing, especially with pain, is super important, because the analogy I always use is like in math, like sitting in like middle school math class, like you might get the right answer, but the work was wrong. So like then you get like partial credit, and it's like, what? So same kind of thought process, right? If we, so that hip internal rotation, if we cranked your hip into internal rotation, we could probably get you close to where we want to be. But are we stealing motion from your hip? Is the spine twisting in a way that we don't want it to? there's a bunch of other factors that are essentially helping your body cheat to get to that end result, and it's not the right path to create long sustainable change.
Yeah. I think the long sustainable change part, I think, is the big key. Because
Yeah.
you can do some soft tissue work, some manual therapy, some neuromuscular reeducation, essentially, and they
Mm.
get, oh wow, like I just really got some stuff moving. It's like, okay, cool. We only did that for like 10 minutes. We need to make sure it's going to take a lot longer for that
Yeah.
motor pattern to actually like get solidified.
Oh,
And
for sure. Like
yeah.
the hands-on stuff, I always call it a window of opportunity.
Yep.
So
Yeah.
now that we use that stuff to reduce symptoms, improve range of motion, now we have the opportunity to do the stuff that's going to get it to stick. And this is the same conversation for anything considered like short-term relief. So whether it's massage guns or stim or even like going as far as saying like injections, right?
Mm-hmm.
None of that stuff, people know that that stuff isn't going to solve the long-term problem because if your problem is squatting, like just like hitting your quad with a massage gun isn't going to fix a squat. Everyone's like aware of that, but it could get you into a place where the quad doesn't hurt. So now you can change your tissue tolerance and your loading strategies, and you can make regressions and progressions as needed. And you can make a ton of progress using that as a tool, knowing that it's more so the gate than it is or more so that's the starting line than the finish line.
Yeah. So I think right, we're going back. We're trying to make it an efficient workout. To make it efficient, you got to start small, focus on whatever that first thing is that is truly causing the problem. And then kind of for you said the first 5 weeks is that. I'm going to assume the next 5 weeks is like, all right, now we're going to layer some more exercises on top to really kind of pattern what I really want you to know, like some functional movements. And then that last 5 is like your performance piece almost in a sense.
Yeah. Symptom reduction, load tolerance, performance optimization.
Perfect. Yeah.
So like that pyramid works really well, but if you go straight to optimizing, you're not going to.
Or if it's like you're doing a couple things at optimizing performance, but you still got pain that you haven't figured out yet. Like that's how you get a shit program essentially, right? And I would even say me early on, a lot of practitioners early on, they kind of do that. They like, especially for like the high level athletes, it's like because it is kind of hard for high level athletes, maybe for them to feel like they're doing something with you. Sometimes it is as like it sucks because whether it's high level athlete, say it's a guy who back squats 450 pounds, but they're in pain. But then you go, okay, we're going to focus on this and we're going to look at your squat with PVC pipe or something. That's like a hard pill for them to swallow a lot of the time.
Yeah. I see it on both ends. I actually see the flip with my population is usually people are scared of going balls to the wall if they've been dealing with pain for a long time. So progressing them to like I have some people who in that performance phase, it's a lot of like fast movement, jumping, cutting. Some of my clients are, 60, 70, 80, and they haven't done it in decades. And they're like, do you want me to what?
Yeah.
And it's an opportunity for them to test in a safe place, trust themselves, and come out more confident because then they can do it, right? Because if you're nervous in the gym and we overcome that fear, that's a way better spot to be than being nervous in real life and like having to jump a curb. And doing that in a nervous state is, you could really hurt yourself.
Yeah, it's funny how populations can really be so different. Where like in the high level people, they just don't even care. They're like, I'm gonna keep doing it because that's all I know.
Yeah. It's one of those like if you don't use it, you lose it kind of things. So I'm sure we've talked about this, but like 90% of the population doesn't sprint after their 30th birthday, right? So like the first thing, as soon as pain's out of the way and tissue tolerance and loads out of the way, like the first thing I want to do with people is move them fast.
Yeah. It's fun. It's funny you brought that because I had a student and I explained to him, I was like, what's a plyometric that you can do? Like I was trying to go over plyometrics, right? Moving fast. And I was like, do you have to jump for it to be a plyometric? And they were like, yes. I was like, no, plyometric just means moving fast. Like we can do
Yep.
squats quickly. We can
Yeah.
do grounded based things very quick and we'll be absolutely fine. But it's teaching someone how to move fast, which is
Yeah.
important.
Oh yeah. Huge decrease in fall risk too.
Yeah, exactly.
Being able to like move fast, accelerate, and then decelerate.
Mhm.
It's great for the older population. I actually have this tool. Have you heard of OVR?
No.
No, it's it's like it's a velocity based assessment tool. So
It doesn't go on a bar, like what?
yeah, so like one of those with like
So it's like a
the zip.
velocity based training type of deal.
Yeah.
Okay.
So what I've been doing, especially in my so when clients get to that performance phase, like cool, you move like every day you're moving faster and faster, but it's like with the weight, it's like you went 10 pounds to 20 pounds to 30 pounds. It's very objective to measure, but it's like, hey, I feel like I'm moving faster, but I don't really know. Right. So, like, with this tool, we can measure it. Right.
Yeah.
So, it's like, hey, you moved 1 meter per second last month. Now you're moving 2 meters per second this month. Right. So, like, it allows us to be able to objectively track speed. And it's game changing when people are, a lot of golfers really like it because it translates a lot to golf metrics.
Yeah.
So it's super
Yeah.
fun.
I mean, for the high performance prospect of it, that's what they use to determine, like, people stop going off a percent of 1 rep maxes, right? For lifting, they start going based off of what velocity are they moving a certain weight on the bar that day, and they have to hit a certain velocity number for the day. That would typically correspond with, like, let's say it would typically correspond with 85% 1 repetition max. But if you're right, some days people from a neuromuscular standpoint just can't hit that weight that fast. So it kind of gave them the insight of, oh, you're actually not like physically prepared to lift this weight this day. You're gonna lower your weights but still hit the speed.
Ooh, love that.
Yeah.
So they actually track a lot of similar metrics in soccer, but as far as like acceleration, like running capacity during training. So there's a lot of guys who maybe might get 10, 20, 30 minutes of game time. And then after the game, they're running sprints on the field.
Yeah.
Because they have to, especially at the pro athlete level, like they have to hit a certain number every day based on predetermined loads and stuff. So, and this is actually a good segue because I very rarely give people sets and reps. And it's like, okay, well, like, then what do you do? And my whole conversation with them is RPE. So for no one who knows, rate of perceived exertion is basically how hard is the thing. Because if you got no sleep, you ate like crap, your wife's mad at you, your dog ran away, you're going to be in the gym and 25 pounds could feel like 100, right? So in that situation, like your RPE should still be 7 out of 10. That might get you to 8 reps on a bad day. But if you're fueled, hydrated, focused, caffeinated, right, you're ready to go, that might take 15 reps to get you that same 7 out of 10. So that is how we track and progress load tolerance in a way that's much more effective, knowing that most of my clients are the busy, active type of person. So, like, kids could be crazy, schedule could be crazy. Like, it doesn't matter. You don't have to hit 3 sets of 10. And the high achievers, like, if you tell them 3 sets of 10 and they only hit 5, they're going to be pissed.
Yeah.
But it's like you have to hit that 7 out of 10 exertion.
Yeah.
Like, that's a lot better.
Yeah. And you go from that, so I don't know if you even knew this. So like that exertion number matches like the percent repetition max. Like they've done the research on, it's called the Omni-Rest scale that says, all right, if you tell someone a 7 out of 10, that's 70% 1 repetition max. Why is that important? Because that tells you you're in hypertrophy. That means you're in what you should be lifting 3 to 6 sets of 6 to 12 reps, right? And
you're a smart guy.
So it's like, right, that's the stuff you're looking at. So when you go to 8 or 9, right, you're kind of in that strength part of it. And so you're right, it should be 89% of your 1 repetition max, 3 to 5 sets, 3 to 5 reps, right? Like it definitely makes it easier. And like as long as you're recording the weight, and like I guarantee you, how you do it too, like they're gonna still know that they're progressing, because it's like, well, I was doing 2 30-pound dumbbells on a dumbbell bench, and it felt like 7 out of 10 going 3 by 10, but now I just did 3 by 10 and it feels like a 5. should I progress? Like, right. It can be so simple sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So like that whole, so tying all this back into lazy, right?
Yep.
So minimum effective dose. So to get the load tolerance that we need, we have to hit that 7 out of 10 in a workout. It doesn't matter if that takes 5, 10, 20 reps on a given day.
Mm-hmm.
It has to be it's perceived exertion. So like as long as you're not fudging and you're like actually hitting that number, then like that's a great place to be.
Yeah. And like, right. And I think even then, not if you're working out, let's say you get someone who's super into it and they're like, you know what, I want to start lifting 5 days a week. Do you start setting like, okay, only 2 of your lifts this day are going to feel like a 7 out of 10, but these other 3 lifts should feel like a 4 or 5 out of 10. Yeah. Cause I hate to bring it back to running, but like, right. It's the exact same thing with like the 80-20 rule of like, you know, you can only go so hard so often.
Dude, that was my biggest issue with weight training during marathon prep was I get in the gym and I go, okay, let's go gym mode. And then I'd be so sore from going hard in the gym, blowing through my 7 out of 10, that it impacted my running for like 3-4 days.
Yep.
So what would be smarter would be to train more frequently at like a 4 or 5 RPE weightlifting wise, so that I can then go and run. So next block.
That's exactly. Yeah. It's either that or it's like I'm gonna lift 2 days a week and only one's gonna be intense and the other one's gonna be like a movement prep, like go through super functional exercises and like just feel good.
All right, so let's go rapid fire. If you had to pick, I'll say 3 exercises, lower body, to do for the rest of your life to get the most gains out of the fewest things, what would you do?
I'm doing a front squat, single leg RDL. I would say lateral lunge. And the reason why is, the reason why I'm looking at that is I'm thinking like 3 planes of motion. So like, and to be honest, all those are pretty much in my standard one day of my leg workout. Deadlift a close second.
Okay.
I could easily third. Sorry, I went to 4, but like deadlifting's kind of the same thing. But right, they're full, complete movements. At like they're targeting everything. Like you're hitting hamstrings, quads, glutes with all of it. So like from a general standpoint, those would be it. I will say, from a running standpoint, because I've been doing more research into this. So when you run, there's a research article done, and when you run at like a 740 pace, your quads and your calves are way more active than your glutes and your hamstrings. So like your calves are actually the most active muscle when you're running at 7, and like that's still a pretty fast pace, right? So like obviously once you start sprinting, it flips, like it's all hamstrings and glutes. But it's one thing to think about if you're like a runner like me or you, like don't neglect the calves essentially. It's funny to think because I think most people would never think about doing, some people do calf raises just to do them, but you're not thinking about that in a leg day most of the time.
Yeah, so to your point, my 3 exercises would be walking lunges.
That's a good one too. I do those as well. Damn.
I would do, it's okay, I'm not here to make you feel stupid. I concur on the single leg RDLs, but I would go kickstand. So I don't want it to turn into a balance exercise.
I got you.
I want to be able to load it up. And then I would throw in some form of plyo. So whether it's probably lateral bounds where I would go there. So we get that like lateral movement.
I like that we both went the lateral movement. I just didn't go with the plyos.
Yeah, because I feel like that the lateral stuff, most people are concerned about, front and back, especially when it's like running and stuff. But from an athletic standpoint, it's going to be a lot more multi-directional stuff. And I feel like that would be a better bet if I only had 3.
Yeah, I like it.
Nice.
Yeah, and if you did, and I would say I'm pretty confident, mine or yours. If you said I'm gonna do these 3 exercises at prescribed intensities twice a week,
Yeah.
you would probably see a pretty good benefit and feel pretty good.
Oh, dude, there's a gym owner or an awesome couple that I work out with. Shout out Matt and Kathy from the lift. But when I was doing my marathon prep, I keep saying my training was going down from a weightlifting perspective. And I'm standing there with him in the gym and I'm like, all right, what is the one exercise if I did nothing else, like that would help me maintain as much like upper body size as possible? And we landed on like a standing shoulder press, like
Yeah.
dumbbells. And I was like, all right, I can get behind that. And that like this guy is he's in his 60s and shredded, like kicks my butt in any workout possible. Like he knows his stuff for sure.
Hmm.
So there is like so much wisdom in that statement. It's like the do more with less is like most people would be like, huh, one exercise, aren't you going to like overtrain or overuse or blah, blah, blah. But to your point before is like, we want to be able to maintain as much as we can. Like obviously doing stuff that's more with a broader paintbrush is going to hit a lot more nuanced things, but we're talking simplicity because I think I said this in the last episode, like the basement and ceiling thing.
Yep.
Right. So if you could only do one thing, what is that thing? If you know that, I think you're better off than 90% of the population because most people are like, oh, I don't know what to do in the gym. Like,
And then
what?
they just don't do anything.
Exactly. Exactly.
Cool. Yeah, I think from a lifting standpoint, and like I'll go through all the research of like what the general recommendations are. You should hit 10 to 20 sets a week for each body part from a hypertrophy standpoint. So like let's say your sample workout what were the 3 exercises again? I already forgot them. Kickstand,
Fine.
deadlift. Yeah, kickstand,
Yeah.
deadlift.
Kickstand RDL, walking lunge,
That's it.
lateral bound.
So if you do all those 3 and you said, all right, I'm gonna 3 sets of each exercise twice a week, you're probably hitting each muscle because they're pretty, they're complex exercises. They're not hitting one thing.
Right.
You will get hypertrophy, right? Because it's 9 sets one day, 9 sets the other day. Okay, so that's like a very easy way to think about it when you're doing that stuff.
And going to that like 7 out of 10 level is going to be like, hey, we're gonna get the gains, but we're gonna minimize the soreness the next day. So it's like win-win.
Yeah, exactly. And that's another big part of this. Like from a lifting standpoint, if you're only doing twice a week, you do have to put effort into it. Like, right. Like there has to be some effort into it to see the change.
Yeah. You can't be like throwing around 2-pound dumbbells.
Yeah. And then like, right. I'm sure you get people. It's like, I just want to, I want to look good. So I want to start running or like start losing weight or things like that. I'm sure that ends up being on the back end for some of the people that you work with. Mm-hmm. And so all you have to do to achieve like many of the benefits across the board from losing weight or from getting in shape, it's 150 minutes, 150 of moderate to vigorous activity a week. So, right. That is, I don't know how you want to split it up. I mean, and it also depends. Like if you do some, a tempo run, like how we talked about. If you run at a fast pace, that kind of counts as vigorous activity. So you don't have to do as much. So 150 minutes is 5 days of 30 minutes of cardio. And that doesn't mean it has to be 5 days of running for 30 minutes. That could be brisk walking. That could be on the elliptical, a stair climber, biking, whatever. And so like when you break it, I feel like when you break it down that way, it's like, oh, I think that's something that's easily manageable.
I think the biggest cheat code in general for health overall is just walking outside.
Yeah. Get some sunlight.
Don't care if you live in New Jersey and it's cold and gray, dark at 4:30. Like getting outside and walking is going to be, like mood elevation, hormone regulation might be like I might be reaching a little bit, right? But like,
not
just-
haven't read enough research to
yeah. So like, just the overall benefits. It's one of those things where people are like, oh, what supplements should you take? Creatine. Duh. Next question.
yeah,
Like walking outside. Duh. Next question.
yeah.
Like,
Be
there's
outside, do
so
something
much
active outside.
overwhelming from everybody that like that's like one of the one things that you can agree on. But sometimes even people feel like they don't have time to do that, right?
Yep.
Like,
Yeah.
so when we're talking, so like that would use for most people, like that's usually my basement. Because even from a pain perspective, it's like, oh, like this exercise hurts, that exercise hurts. Like I can't get into a position that's pain free. It's like, okay, can you walk pain free? It's like, yeah, relatively. Cool. 20 minutes a day, every day, walking, preferably outside.
Yep.
Right? Like it could be that simple.
Yeah.
And from a like joint health, all that stuff, like it is something that can, what did Dr. K say? Keep it simple, stupid. The KISS principle.
Yeah, the KISS principle. Yeah.
Like there are a million ways to overcomplicate things, but it doesn't have to be complicated to work.
No. Yeah. And like kind of what we talked about, I don't think the exercises we put out were complicated. I don't think the scheme of it is complicated. It's just do it.
That should have been my third one.
What?
Like walking lunges, RDLs, and walking.
You missed.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
From like a cap, like widest net thing.
Yeah.
Like
go get a dog that forced you to walk. Go get a super active dog.
Ooh, health tip. Go get a puppy.
Yep. Yeah.
That'll keep you real active.
Cool. All right. I think we're good. I think people should understand how easy it is, how to be lazy to get a good workout.
Yeah. And if you don't understand, go fix yourself.
Go fix yourself. Yeah, we're ending.